Mike Johnson has a very pleasant demeanor, but his voting record is as extreme as the most extreme members of their conference.
We spent 3 weeks without any Speaker of the House, but Wednesday, House Republicans finally selected someone, Mike Johnson, a little-known congressman from the state of Louisiana, and he was one of the earliest adopters of, guess what, Donald Trump's election lies.
The allegations about these voting machines, some of them being rigged with this software by Dominion. Look, there's a lot of merit to that. In every election in American history, there's some small element of fraud, irregularity, error. We just know that. You just accept that that's the case. But when you have it on a broad scale, when you have, a software system that is used all around the country that is suspect because it came from Hugo Chavez's Venezuela.
We must vote to sustain objections to states of electors submitted by states that we genuinely believe clearly violated the Constitution and the presidential election of 2020. This is the threshold legal question before us, and it's an issue before us for the state of Arizona.
Mr. Johnson, can you help lead the efforts to overturn the 2020
All that nonsense about Venezuela and the voting machines, lies, lies, lies. Back with me tonight, Brendan Buck, former chief communications advisor for both Speaker Paul Ryan and John Boehner. Brendan, what does the election of Mike Johnson tell us about the Republican Party? And you got to think, Mike Johnson's views on things like marriage equality and abortion are so out of step with the majority of Americans, Democrats are probably already making ads against this guy.
Yeah, they're absolutely trying to make him famous. The reality, though, is, at least as it relates to probably both the election denial and his positions on abortion, he's got a lot of company in the House Republican Conference. That is not out of step for who the party is, and most of his colleagues probably aren't batting an eye at any of that. But what I will say is there is a reality that the speaker's personal policy preferences don't matter quite as much as people are, I think, talking about in this moment. Who the speaker is absolutely matters, and what their views are matter. But what's much more important is how good they are at this. We know Mike Johnson's a nice guy. We know he's pretty conservative. We have no idea if he's any good at this. And I think that's what we're going to have to find out pretty quickly. And my suspicion is what we're going to find out why it was pretty dumb to get rid of Kevin McCarthy. Mike Johnson is going to be pursuing the exact same agenda that the House Republicans were pursuing under Kevin McCarthy. It's not his own policy agenda. It's the will of the conference and the will of the House. He just has no experience doing it. So I think he's probably going to be trying to do the same things Kevin McCarthy was doing, but probably doing so less effectively than Kevin McCarthy was doing.
Okay, I just want to take slight issue with that for a second. Just because someone says, please, thank you, and ma'am, doesn't mean they're a good or nice guy, especially when they actively push lies about our election. Right? That's like Eddie Haskell. Was he a nice guy? No, he was a horrible neighbor who was BSing June Cleaver every day of the week. But gee, he slicked his hair to the side and said, thanks, Mrs. Cleaver. I'd love to have dessert. Please, let's move on to Kevin McCarthy. How did Kevin McCarthy let this happen to him? He knew Matt Gaetz, a junior joker, was coming for him. And Kevin McCarthy was gunning for the speakership forever. He had the power. He was a money-raising machine. Why, when he was in the seat, didn't he take Matt Gaetz out? It would be easy to. There's so much dirt on the guy. There's ethics issues on him. But he didn't. And then he let Gaetz basically shoot him in the back of the head. Why?
Because he probably couldn't do anything to stop it. Matt Gaetz has created, like a lot of these guys, a parallel political universe where he's given up any pretense that he cares about what people say about him in the New York Times. He lives in the Steve Bannon's world. And if the Speaker of the House, if the establishment is coming after him, that's great for him. That just sort of validates his theory that the swamp is bad and they're out to get him. The ironic thing is that Matt Gaetz went after Kevin McCarthy because he thinks Kevin McCarthy was going after him. That's what made it so personal. Matt Gaetz has a bunch of issues in front of the House Ethics Committee, and he blames Kevin McCarthy. I don't think there's any evidence that Kevin McCarthy is behind a lot of the stuff that came out about Matt Gaetz, but Matt Gaetz thinks there is. And it didn't hurt Matt Gaetz. It strengthened him with the far right, and allowed him to get away with this. It's what has led to this moment where so many House Republicans can go after leadership, face no consequences, because they live in the conservative ecosystem, and there's no consequences for it.
Steve Bannon is waiting there with a podcast to feature you on. Brendan Buck, thank you so much for breaking it down for us. I appreciate it.